For our next episode of Grand Reel with Dan, and I'm going to get him to say his name for the video, and then we'll go from there. So say and spell your name, please.
Okay, sir, my name is Dan Bresau, B-R-E-S-S-E-A-U. Some people pronounce it Bresau, but it's Bresau.
Bresau, okay.
Yeah, I'm a male clerk at Grand River Hospital, and I volunteer a couple of days a week as well.
Awesome. All right, Dan. Well, we are a third one of these, and it's really about getting to know who is at Grand River. One of my other ones we've done is, everybody has their own story, right? And where they're coming from and everything about them. There's so much depth to each individual. And so that's what this is about, is going a little bit deep into Dan. Better watch how I word that one. It's going to get a bit sassy today. So, I think a common question, and we were chatting a little bit before we started filming, how did you get here, and why in healthcare? Because you're working here at Grand River Hospital.
Yes. Well, I was telling you earlier, I was manufacturing for about 41 years in my life, and after I retired, I wanted to do something different, and luckily for me, my wife works at Grand River Hospital as well. She's been here a long time, and she said, "Now, why don't you try getting into the hospital?" And it's completely out of my realm, but I said, most certainly I'll try it, and I started here in March of 2021, and I love it. I enjoy the people that I work with. I just love being around this environment. I like helping people, and it's been fun for me.
That's awesome. Grand River has this long-term vision of creating a world-class healthcare system for all of us, really, to sort of elevate that. What does that mean to you when I say that?
Well, when I think of world-class healthcare, I got to say it's the best of the best. I would think Grand River is second to none when it comes to healthcare, and I'm very proud to be a part of that. That's
awesome, Dan. So what makes up that for you? I don't know what role your wife has in the hospital, but what are those? Is it the people? What is it that helps create a great place to be?
Well, I do believe it's the people that bring each day along from one end to the other. My wife's been here 33 years, and she's a nurse in internal medicine, and I know my wife, and I'm not just saying because she is my wife, but she's the best nurse that I know, and all of her friends are the same, and when they get together, it's nurse stories and healthcare. I mean, it's fun for me to listen to.
Well, it's interesting. We're actually filming this in the 40 Green building, which is the original nursing residence where they actually had nurses live on site.
Oh, wow.
and train. So we're actually in an old bedroom space of the nurses.
Wow.
We heard stories that a lot of young gentlemen used to sneak in. But it's nursing is sort of that pivotal profession in terms of seen as the care, right? And so. I think I'll pivot our question is to COVID. So in some ways, I know you started as a screener when you started,
yes.
And so COVID brought you to us.
Yes.
What do you think has been the effect of COVID on healthcare in the short term?
Well, you know what? I think it's made people more concerned about how a thing like COVID can transferable, and it can hit anybody. It hits everybody, and nobody's immune to it. So unless you're being as careful as we can, and that's why the masks and all that. I think it's just made people more aware.
Did it affect, in your work here and in your wife's work, did it affect that at all? Was it more stressful time? How do you feel that it
was more stressful time because of the potential of getting COVID, and how can we protect ourselves to the utmost, the right way. And so I'm luckily I've had my 4 shots.
Nice.
And I'm just trying to do everything I can to protect. I have elderly in-laws as well, and we like to be around them a lot, so we always protect ourselves and protect them.
That's awesome. Just did a pause there to let it, because we can cut that part out. So on that question then, and I really do want to get your wife in for an interview at some point. She can back all these things up.
Yes, she could.
I like to ask the question, and it's a bit irreverent, but if you won $10 million today, so we wanted the stat 50-50 to get that big, you probably won't. But if you had a 649 ticket or Lotto Max and you won $10 million, what would you do?
Well, I would help my family and friends. That would be a good thing. But my mom passed away with cancer 8 years ago, and I know cancer affects everybody. I'm definitely I would be throwing some money in at the cancer center as well, because
Awesome.
I just know how it affects everybody. So nobody is away from cancer.
It's one of those diseases, right? And actually, I think in just a couple of years, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the Cancer Center, and I can't even envision our community without one. Still today, with some of the cancers, people have to travel out of the community, which is so tough. Yeah.
My father-in-law had throat cancer. This is over 20 years ago now, and he had to travel to London each and every day. So yeah, we're very honored to have.
No, we're blessed. Absolutely.
Most certainly.
Kind of another personal question is, you can go back to that 18-year-old Dan. You're saying to him, came here to the community. What would you tell him now in terms of what you've grown and evolved over the years? You'd want to say to him.
Well, I'd want to say stay humble, stay kind, and get education. That's what I missed out on. So.
Did you, from the learning that you've done with your roles and stuff, did you find you learned a lot and grow over the years as well?
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, back in the day, I didn't have a lot of schooling. I only went to 1 year of high school, and then I opted to quit because I really didn't know any better.
We're all a little bit.
And then I went back when I was 45 years old, and I got my GED.
Oh, no way!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My son was in a crossroads, and he was saying, well, Dad, you never did high school, and look at you, you did all right for yourself. And it was a different day back then, and so I told him, I said, well, you know what, I'll go back and get mine if you stay and get yours.
That is awesome.
And so, yeah.
And so he did as well.
And he did as well. He got grade 13 and went to college, and
that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing I like to ask: what neighborhood in the city or in the community do you live in?
I live in Waterloo in Westvale.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Great neighborhood.
Yeah, a really nice neighborhood. We had all our schools there, right there for my son, so he never took a bus. He walked.
Awesome.
He walked from JK to grade 8 to one school, Holy Rosary, and then he went to Resurrection for high school. And
nice.
Yeah. So.
Do you have, either you and your wife or just yourself, like a favorite haunt or space you like to go to, like restaurant or cafe or bar or in the community that you'd like to give
Well,
to
back in the day, my favorite place was for a restaurant and a bar. Kind of was the Idlewives. The Idlewives Tavern. But then when, like I said, once we moved to Waterloo, I'm a golfer as well. So we like Nine and Dine, like out at Rebel Creek, New Dundee, and stuff like that. So. Me and my son like to golf, and
that's awesome.
My wife likes to eat, so we're compatible that way.
One of the things I like to ask on your role side, so you work in the mail. I don't know if it's the mail room. Actually, I've never actually been down there.
Mail room, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and some of the the good stuff, the challenges? Like, I'd love to know a bit more.
Well, the mail room. I mean, I'm a guy that likes to work with a group of people. I've always liked to inspire and be a part of a group. So the mailroom, for me, the challenge that I have there is I work by myself. And so that's my challenge, just to keep myself busy and occupied. I like the job. Does it give me enough hours? I'm still figuring that out. I just started in the mailroom in June.
Oh, nice.
So I get 12 hours a week there. Again, I like volunteering as well. So I'm trying to stuff my hours or stuff my week with things that I can do. Summertime, it's okay for me because I'm golfing. This winter, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm planning on hopefully doing some more. So,
How, I just total curiosity, because I don't really have a sense, how much mail's coming through? Like, when you're in a shift there, are you seeing
oh,
like
wow, so
tons?
I'm there 5 hours, so the mail coming into the hospital, it might take me about an hour or so to distribute to the different doctors and the different lounges and places that it must go, but the mail that's going out of the hospital, well, at 92 cents a letter, I usually put out around $1,000 to $1,200 a day worth
Wow.
of slots. So there's a lot of mail going out. There's
Huh.
a lot of follow-ups and all that kind
And,
of
and we're
stuff.
still using physical mail to do that.
And
versus-
we're using,
Yeah.
yes,
Interesting.
yes.
Another sort of personal question I'll just jump over to, and I've asked a few people this. Do you have like a favorite movie or book that just you could just watch over and over or read again and again?
Well, I like true crime, so Max Haynes was always one of my favorite authors because
Nice.
they're short stories and you can get through them quick and they're very intriguing. But my favorite movie, it's called Warrior. Now don't, and there's two different movies. There's one called Warriors way back in the day. But this new movie with called Warrior, it's about it's a family, two UFC guys, and it's just their struggles and their.
Is it's like a biopic, so it's like a real life, or is it, it's all okay?
It's just and it's a great movie. I mean, if you're an emotional person, it's tough to get through.
I am very emotional, but I want to watch it now.
Yeah, it's called Warrior. Yeah, it's tough to get through.
Nice.
Yeah.
And another question we like to sort of get to in depth is how do you start your days? Like, what time do you get up? What do you do?
Well, my wife starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I don't start till 9. But I'm always up with my wife when she gets up. Make her coffee and stuff. I don't drink coffee in the morning. I drink juice, but I make my wife a coffee, and then we take our dog. We have a golden doodle.
Oh, beautiful.
And he's a very energetic pup. And
What's his name?
His name is Oscar.
Okay, very good
And
name for a golden doodle,
and he is and he lives up to his name. We start off our day with taking him for about a half-hour walk because he doesn't do any business in my yard.
Okay.
We never train him to do that, but he just doesn't do that. So we go for
Keeps
a
the
walk.
yard nice.
Yeah, keeps the yard nice. So we take him for a walk. We get home around just after 6. She jumps in the shower. I make a piece of toast or something, and then she leaves, and then I start getting ready because I start at 9. Yeah.
That's awesome. I always find just when you share those kind of things, it's just interesting to see how other people, go. But I couldn't survive without my coffee in the morning. So
Right. Yeah. My wife is the same.
I'm impressed that you do the juice.
Yeah. I do coffee maybe once a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah. Usually Sundays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another sort of personal side. Do you have somebody in your life who has been a real inspiration, or somebody who you look up to and sort of said, that makes me want to do better, or they've helped me grow? Do you have somebody in your life who's done that?
Well, my mom was always my inspiration. She always guided me in the right direction. But now that I have my son, my son's 30 now, but I stay on the right path for him. I need to show him what to do.
Does he live locally as well?
He lives locally
Nice.
as well. Yeah, he's been in my life all my life. So yeah, he just got married last weekend.
Oh,
so,
congratulations!
Yes, yeah, we had a great time, and yeah, he keeps me on the right track because, like I said, I want to instill in him what my mom and dad did for me. So, and we've
awesome.
been doing that for a long time. I have a great wife, and we've been together for 40 years. So,
Congratulations.
yes, thank you, sir.
And that's, when I talk about this grain real idea, this is the real stuff, right? Like,
Yes.
we're all people, and we all have our own stories. I have 5 daughters myself, so
Oh,
I always
wow.
get some sympathy when I mention that.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, you certainly do.
it's just real. Like, I think so much of the time we're in our own worlds, and we don't appreciate that everybody's world is as complex and as diverse and as challenging and as different as ours. And
Right.
so,
Yes, sir.
honestly, thanks for giving your time too as a volunteer. Like, we fundamentally realize with volunteers in particular, like, the system just works better
Oh, yes.
when we have people who commit their time to make it better, right? And it's not about replacing staff in any way, but it's about
Right.
building that experience. 'Cause
Right, yes.
there's only so much money and so much time that
Most
the
certainly.
staff have.
Yeah.
And And so how do we augment? What volunteer roles have you been helping with?
So I stayed down at I screened at the front entrance. So that's where I volunteer at the main entrance when people come in and they need assistance or direction, or sometimes people just need to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm a good listener, and I know, like you, Paul, everybody has their own story, and I don't disregard that on anybody. I worked at Toyota for 30 years. Diversity is everything. Everything. I've trained many guys that didn't speak a word of English, but we got through it, and I trained them, and some of them end up being the best workers that Toyota has ever seen.
Awesome.
And no language.
Yeah.
The barrier was there, but we still got through it all.
That's awesome. I'll let you know, we actually we do quite a few golf tournaments, and we're always looking for people to just sort of be around us and be part of it. So it does sound like you're a golf fan.
Yes, I am.
So I know we have one coming up in September called Shortgrass.
Okay.
And if you're interested in coming on out in some capacity, we'd love to have you. They're a hoot.
Yeah.
And that one's actually for kids' cancer care.
Wow.
So it's a great cause as well.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Well, this was awesome.
Well,
thank you, Dan. I've learned a lot, and honestly, if you can think of anyone who would want to come and sit down for something silly like this,
most certainly.
Real pleasure you gave your time for this.
Well, I thank you very much, and I'm hoping my wife will be a part of this too.
I'd love that.
She's been here a long time, so she knows the ins and outs.
And we want to understand the different areas as well, and the different roles. There's so many different roles.
Most certainly, yeah.
We have over 4,000 staff.
Wow.
It's going to take me a lot of time to get through them all for this, but
yes.
we didn't want to just, I meet with the CEO all the time, and I've had conversations with him, and he's great.
Yes.
But I want to make sure we're hitting all of the spectrum
nice.
across the organization. So
very nice.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Much obliged. Thanks, everybody, and that's another episode of Grand Reel.